But first, Manchester United forward Marcus Rashford has completed a season-long loan move to Barcelona. The deal includes an option to buy him next summer, which we understand to be around £26 million. And Gary is behind us and has been listening in to the new Barcelona player. Gary, what did he have to say? I mean, it was quite an introduction from that telephone box, wasn't it?
Yeah, just to clarify, this is not the last Gary who was the last Englishman to play for Barcelona. Gary Lineker, of course. This is Gary Cottrell, who's never played for Barcelona or Manchester United or Aston Villa and was never likely to. But yeah, what a tour de force that was from Marcus Rashford. Just behind me, it lasted a good 30 minutes. He looked smart. He was very, very happy, smiling all over his face, handled the questions really well and just spoke about how much he's enjoyed being in Barcelona for the last 48 hours or so. He arrived on Sunday night. He says it's a great dressing room, great players who he's already getting along with, a great management team. The club, he says, one of the top clubs in the world, a club that he is honoured to play for. He wants to win things for the fans. He wants to win things for himself, of course. And as I say, lots and lots of questions just about how happy he is after a summer of speculation, after hearing that he only wanted to leave Manchester United for one place, and that was Barcelona. Just how happy he was to be at this iconic club.
I want to win the biggest trophies, and I feel like Barcelona, the club, is obviously a huge club in the football world. So it's the perfect place to go and win the biggest trophies. And you see with the team last season, they have a very young team, ambitious team, and I want to come here and add my qualities, my personality, and try to improve the team and help them win. It's a unique club, so everything about the club is special. And yeah, of course, to wear this shirt is an honour, and I am ready to do my best for the club. And like I said, it for me is about winning. And all my life growing up, and I've of course watched many Barcelona games, and the club is about winning. Of course, it's about enjoyment, to express yourself, and the players that have worn this shirt, they have all expressed themselves in their own way for the club. But ultimately, the club is built on winning, and I'm here to try and add to this history.
And Gary, you mentioned his language was good, wasn't it? He looks like he's ready for a new challenge, very different from the Rashfords that we've seen at United and training by himself. What did he have to say about Manchester United?
Yeah, 100%, Gail, you're right. And I think if you were here, the aura was even more so, that he was so happy that this could be another good part in what's been an up and down recent history in his career. If I move slightly out the way and we just go into that area over there, you can see that's where that 30-minute or so meeting the media was held. That whole area that you could see around the outside was packed with journalists and cameramen. I would say about 100 journalists and cameras, most of them from Spain, and virtually all of the questions, in fact all of the questions were from Spanish reporters or Catalan reporters. No English reporters were allowed to ask questions, and I think that's because there was a cooperation here between Manchester United and Barcelona, and in fact Marcus Rashford's own personal representatives who were here for this, going around asking what questions were going to be asked. And I think they wanted to keep it all positive. They wanted to talk about going forward rather than looking back. And I think that's why, understandably, at the unveiling of this player, which they've worked so hard to get Barcelona, they decided in the end not to allow any English questions, just in case there was any negative slant to the questions about what went wrong at Manchester United, about how determined were you to come to Barcelona, about have you got a message for the Manchester United fans. They wanted to look ahead to Barcelona, but he was asked about Manchester United, why he was a different his demeanour was different now to what it was maybe a year ago, 6 months ago, and what he felt about the whole situation at Manchester United, and he tried to keep it positive.
I don't have anything bad to say about Manchester United. I think it's been an important part of not only my career but just my life. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to play for them. But football is the same as life, and not everything, goes as simple as you may have thought. And yeah, this is my next step, my next chapter, and right now I'm in a good place. I'm happy. I'm healthy. And like I said, I am eager to get going. It's one thing to say you are, motivated and determined, but these are things that they can change day to day, depending on how you're feeling. But really, the thing that I bring back to my life, not just the sport, is the discipline. And the discipline is something that stays regardless of if you wake up, you don't feel like it today. The discipline is the thing that keeps you going. So, like I said, my overall message is that I'm happy to be here.
Well, Gary, there has been quite the fanfare, hasn't there, today? Everyone has got very, very excited. I guess the question we have to ask, though, is are Barcelona actually going to be able to register Rashford?
Excited is the word, Gail. It was so packed over there and it's so warm and humid here, as you know, that's why I've turned red. So apologies for that. It is very, very exciting, very, very warm. Yeah, he talked about being happy and healthy, didn't he, Marcus Rashford, in that last burst that we heard from him. But Barcelona's finances, once again, are neither happy or healthy because they're having the same old story with Barcelona and whether or not they can actually afford the wages that he's going to be on. Big wages, obviously they're not the wages he's reduced by, we understand, around 15% or so the wages he's on at Manchester United, but they're still going to pay all those wages, so it's a hefty bill. And they're in breach at the moment of La Liga financial rules. They have to earn in the Liga what they spend, and for another season, and we've heard it time and again, they haven't done that. They need to get some money into their bank accounts and quick to register Marcus Rashford. Otherwise, the rules say they won't be able to register him. They've got plans, they say, to do that. Executive box tickets, the new stadium, which isn't complete yet. That's another issue. Selling players, getting other players out on loan to get their wages off the books. So they're fairly relaxed that by the time the season starts, they will have registered Marcus Rashford. In the meantime, he's getting on a plane with his new teammates tomorrow to fly to the Far East for 3 friendly games in the Far East, which, of course, because they're not official competition games, he can play in, and we understand he will play in.
Brilliant. Gary, thank you very much, and you're looking absolutely fabulous. Don't you worry about that. Now, James, with them gone, what about the other outgoings that we're expecting at Manchester United?
Yeah, well, look, with Manchester United, we've known all summer that there were 5 players who were told to keep away from pre-season training, to search for a future away from Old Trafford. 1 now has gone in Marcus Rashford joining Barcelona. The other 4 on your screen behind you still remain. Let's start with Alejandro Garnacho, just 21 years old. He's got a contract until 2028. Huge potential, Argentina international already, but Ruben Amorim has made it clear the future isn't for him at Old Trafford. Now, we know Chelsea were interested in the player and are still interested in the player, but they have signed a player like Jamie Gittins, very similar mould of a player. Doesn't totally rule Chelsea out, but likely scenario if Chelsea come back in is that they sell some of their current crop of players. Aston Villa, another club, remaining interested. Thing with Garnacho is that Manchester United signed him for very little as a youngster. So regardless of what profit they make, it's going to be big profit, which they can then use to reinvest in the squad. So even if, say, they valued this player around, say, 60, 70 million at the start of the year, and maybe that's dropped to, say, 40 million pounds, it's still, they'll see it as pretty good business. So Alejandro Garnacho is one of those players still surplus to requirements at United, but he's not the only one, is he?
Yeah. James mentioned about Garnacho and Chelsea. Well, we know that Jadon Sancho was at Chelsea last season on loan. They didn't take up the obligation to buy, so Manchester United received a £5 million penalty fee from Chelsea because they didn't take up the obligation. United still want to release Jadon Sancho. They want to sell him on a permanent deal, if at all possible. Dialogue is open between Juventus and Manchester United over the potential signing of Jadon Sancho, as it is between Jadon Sancho's representatives and Juventus. Now, Juventus are working on sales before they can do a deal for Sancho because their big priority in this window was to sign Francisco Conceição from Porto. They've effectively done that now, but to bring in someone like Sancho, one or both of Timothy Weah and Nicolas Gonzalez would have to be sold for them to be able to go into the market again to bring in someone like Jadon Sancho. If it doesn't happen, because there's still a big doubt whether he will end up at Juventus, there are a number of other clubs in Europe who are interested in Jadon Sancho. But Manchester United want to get this deal done sooner rather than later.
He's not the only one. Antony's another one that United would rather sell. They want to sell him. Remember, he went on loan to Real Betis last season. Performed really well. Performed well in that Conference League final defeat, albeit to Chelsea too. Actually had a promising spell, showed signs of what sort of player he was. But this is a tricky one for Manchester United. It's a player they paid £82 million for. He's still got 2 years left of his contract. They know the future's not at Old Trafford for him. Real Betis are keen to bring him back, but they are struggling to meet United's demands for a permanent transfer. They would prefer to bring him on loan for another season. United want the permanent transfer. Atletico Madrid are a club that are monitoring the situation, but they have other priorities at the moment, so they might just keep an eye and see where that goes to. Just one other player as well, Terrell Malacia. Now, look, he's a left-footed player. Now, that sounds so basic in terms of giving a description of a player, but there is a huge demand for left-sided players in this transfer window. So I have no doubts that Manchester United will have offers for his services in this window.
And Domish, if they can shift some, if not all of them, will they look to strengthen?
Yeah, look, we should reiterate that the focus totally after they brought in Bryan Mbeumo was player sales. But having said that, throughout this transfer window, we have been saying that they are trying to strengthen in the number 9 position. They do want to bring in a striker. They have explored the conditions of a deal for a number of strikers, including Aston Villa's Ollie Watkins, Victor Gyökeres of Sporting, who of course is on his way to Arsenal, Nicholas Jackson from Chelsea, though his price could be really prohibitive, and interestingly RB Leipzig's Benjamin Sesko, who's been linked not only with Arsenal but with Manchester United as well for the last 3 seasons or so. Now, the interesting thing about this is the director of recruitment at Manchester United is a gentleman called Christopher Vivell. He knows Sesko really, really well because he actually signed Sesko as a 16-year-old when he was at Red Bull Salzburg. So if you look at United's movements in this transfer window so far, the players that they've brought in the forward areas, Matheus Cunha and Bryan Mbeumo, Ruben Amorim wants them to play in the 2 number 10 roles. But significantly, they are both players who have had significant Premier League experience compared to some of the other signings that they made in the forward areas in recent seasons, the likes of Joshua Zirkzee, Rasmus Højlund and Antony. You just get the impression that maybe Manchester United feel that they need to have learned lessons from what's happened in the past and bring in players who are ready to go in this transfer window. Exactly. But look, the potential recruitment of a striker, of a number 9, that is likely to happen later in the window, if at all. I'm not saying that is definitely going to happen, but United definitely in the market to bring one in.
Right, talking of strikers.
Ya saltan 1K y el Barrio. Es determinante cuánto daño puede hacer el conjunto de 1K, sobre todo con Granero en esas primeras de cambio en la salida de escalera. Así que esa parte del partido va a ser absolutamente clave para el equipo de Iker Casillas. Por cierto, felicitar porque ha venido una buena afición de 1K.
Tiene la pelota, Gerard Noya encara, sigue Noya, Noya dispara, Arnalot.
80
paradas ya para Arnalot. Gil Vidal ataca desde la derecha el número 9. Gil Vidal con el centro, buena pelota, Arché, con la rodilla le pegó. Pues es el que desatasca un poco el partido, ¿no? Con centros, ojo ahí, se golpeó, el remate, ¡gol! ¡Mar Valiente! ¡Gol! Del Barrio, marca Mar Valiente. Esa banda izquierda que es terreno de los cañonazos de Granero, a la que tengo un mínimo de espacio, le pega Granero. Bueno, pues es decirlo, y ahí lo tenemos. El tema es que el remate le ha salido centrado. Abraham, buena pelota, banda derecha. Vamos a ver qué hace ahí Fran Rodríguez, se mete en el área, sigue Fran. ¡Qué bien Fran! Se va de 2, el remate, ¡fuera!
¡Chicos!
A ver si acierta. ¡Claro que
Mira
sí!
acá.
Busca el Barrio el segundo gol. Arché. Arché para Gil. Gil que le puede pegar a este Gil. Buen recorte. Gil al
¡Dios!
palo. Levanta Arché.
¡Dios! ¡No, no, 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 no!
Pelota
Madre
arriba.
mía, qué parada. Y a centímetros del remate, ¿eh?
No, la reacción ha sido impresionante. ¡El disparo! ¡Madre
¡Ay,
de
ay,
Dios!
ay, ay, ay!
¡Otro que vuela! ¡Otro más! Que está la pelota para John de la Cruz. La quiere levantar. Vuelve a pegar la pelota en el cuerpo de un jugador del Barrio. El remate con la puntera y acaba deteniendo a Gerard Vacas. Será córner favorable a 1K. Bueno, a ver.
Gol doble.
Gol doble. A ver, saque de banda. Balón puesto en movimiento. Intentaba rematar más valiente. El remate. ¡Gol! ¡Bauer! ¡Gol! ¡Del Barrio! ¡Le pegó con el alma! ¡Bauer!
Y es…
Penalti
¡Madre
normal.
mía lo de los penaltis!
Penalti normal. Y el que quiere hacer el 0-3 es el número 4, pega valiente. ¡Vaya cañón! ¡Gol! Ahí están, Arnalot y Vacas como candidatos, como guardametas y también Mar Valiente y Pau Ferojo la recuperación. Tiene la pelota al Barrio que puede sentenciar el remate. ¡Gol!
Knockout.
¡Let's go, Barria! Ponme el 5, ponme el 5, ponme el 5.
El cambio del partido ha sido radical en los últimos 10 minutos. El balón que lo tiene. ¡Ojo!
¡Ay, ay, 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 ay! Jaimitada.
Marca de nuevo el Barrio, gol de Fran Fuentes. El equipo de Juan Arroita, que no ganaba un encuentro con esta tranquilidad, entre comillas, al final, con un margen tan amplio, con 2 goles dobles que han hecho pasar el partido del 0-3 al 0-7.
Paufer ha costado, pero por fin ha llegado esa victoria tan deseada con goleada.
Ha costado mucho, pero bueno, le damos emoción hasta el momento final, recta final, y ahora, pase lo que pase con Pío, nos lo jugaremos contra ellos.
Eso te iba a decir, pase lo que pase con Pío, la semana que viene o ellos o tú, o tu ex equipo o tú.
Bueno, o el Barrio o ellos, pero sí. La vida, yo qué sé, no sé, son cosas muy raras que suceden, pero ahí estaremos. Ahora estoy en el Barrio, así que espero que gane el Barrio.
Enhorabuena y a disfrutarlo.
Gracias.